Okay, open a new window. Sure. Live chats. Testing 1, 2, 3. Sure. Live chats. Testing 1, 2, 3. Da, da, da. Who is out there on the stream? Stream status okay. Da, da, da. Who is out there on the stream? Stream status okay. Hello, Evil Twins Gaming. How does the stream look? Or how does it sound, I guess? Talon Gagnon. Hi? George, what's up, man? Thanks. I'm using, hey there, I picked this up. It's the now, whoa. Let's see if it'll focus on my face again or not. So there's a lot of echo. All right. All right, let me try that again. I should only have one audio source now playing, so I don't know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Right now I just went in and closed one of the audio sources. Hey, Michael. All right, so good. I'm glad the audio is working all right. I'm actually using I'm using a 5D, and I'm doing that right now. You'll have to wait for the bell work for tomorrow there, VXVO. Let's see. Really quick. Thank you for the confirmation on the video stream, guys. I appreciate it. So there was Devin. No. Have you had any problems with the Makey battery grip with the Makey battery grip I reviewed? I don't use it as often as I'd like to because I typically have a cage on my camera. For example, here, I'll usually have a cage because I mount the, I'll mount something on here, like the Atomos Ninja recorder, so I don't usually have the battery grip in place, but the times that I've used it, I've never really had a problem with it, other than the fact that it does flex and the battery cage can get loose over time. So that's the only thing I could say about the battery grip. Hey everybody, thank you. On the stream. Well, I don't know. As far as if you have any questions, just let me know. Anything with Sony related stuff. Sharp lens for food photography. All-in-one ask. I don't know. Check out the Macro 90, I would say. Or if you're using, but I haven't used the 90mm macro. Yeah, George, I would agree with you. The battery grip is decent. It's not like, it's not amazing or anything. It's just, it gets the job done in my opinion. Talon Gagnon, what is your #1 tip for the Alpha 6000? I don't know. What are you looking for specifically? I think the one thing I really like about the A6000 is just make sure that if you're taking pictures, is to use the lock-on AF feature if you're not already using it. David Samaniego asked for any DSLRs. Let me see here. I think I can do a display capture. Here we go. Just hang tight. I'm going to go ahead and try to crop this screen here so you can see the questions. How do I do this? Filters, crop. There we go. Crop from the right. There we go. Yeah, just hang on. I'm gonna crop in the questions. That way someone on the stream can see these later. I think that's good. There we go. Should I move? What should I do here? Let's see. Going through this right now. Do you have any... As far as, David, so the answer to your question about the slider, I do have like a longer slider from Canova that I had a long time ago, but I don't use it with the Alpha 6500. I was using it for my DSLR, but I use the Wing from... Man, I am forgetting the names on those products, but it's the... it's that Wing, that Wing 3. I don't know, someone help me out with the stream here, but it's the one where it just kind of, it's kind of collapsed and it kind of opens out in and out. That's what I'm using right now. I haven't used it a whole lot, but I don't know. Time-lapse wise, I can't really recommend anything on that end, if it's especially a moving slider. George Murray, how's the 18-35 with the Metabones on the Alpha 6500, specifically in low light AF? I just don't have the Metabone speed booster. If I do have extra funds, maybe I can pick up the Metabones and do some tests with those and some comparisons with the MC11 adapter, but I can't really comment on that. I just think that the Sigma adapter will work the best, but I can't really say that because I haven't used the Metabones. Jost Mike, he asked, what's the advantage of Sony to Canon or Nikon? It seems to be really popular these days. Haven't tried it yet. Jost Mike, I was in the exact same situation that you're in, or maybe just the kind of the thinking process, because everyone kept talking about Sony mirrorless, like, oh man, Sony mirrorless is great, all of this stuff. And I was here with the Canon 5D Mark III at the time, and I was just holding out. I was like, okay, maybe Canon will make some developments and some advancements, like 4K video, and maybe some sort of EVF, some sort of way to really kind of meet the mirrorless system halfway. They never really did. But as far as the advantages that I find personally with the Sony mirrorless systems is the EVF, honestly, is kind of the big deal. In other words, it's kind of like traditionally if you're shooting with your DSLR, for example, and you have it up to your eye and you're taking pictures, when you want to review the photographs, now it's nothing wrong with it. You have to check down here. So you take a picture through the EVF, So, for example, with this camera, when you look through the viewfinder, what you take a picture of is not what you get down here in your viewfinder, in your actual LCD. What you're shooting with the mirrorless camera, like the Alpha 6000 or A7 series, when you take the picture, the exposure, the settings, and how it's going to look is exactly what you saw in the viewfinder or in the EVF. So I think that's one of the biggest strengths. I also like the Sony systems because they have that flip-out screen. It really comes in handy as well. I've used it a number of times. And there is some strengths, and there's also some weaknesses. But I think that's kind of one of the biggest strengths with the Sony system. Joust. Tarek Salami, let's see. 86, 30mm f1.4 Sigma versus the 35mm 1.8 for night photography on the A6000. Optically, I don't know the actual differences between those two lenses, but if you need more, I don't really do night photography, so I'm not the best person for it, but I would guess, or I'm just making a general assumption here, that you'd want the one that goes to f1.4. I don't know, I would, again, I'm not the best person on that particular question. Hopefully someone can help with that. Survival Hunter asks, would you recommend the A7R2 for both for video and photography? Survival Hunter, if you're not, I think it's good. I think the A7R2 is great for the video and photography. That's just my opinion. And the reason why I say that is because it kind of fits. It does video really well too, except when 4K I have had overheating issues. It does creep up, so that's the only thing I'd be worried about. If it's short form clips and shots and you're not shooting in direct sunlight, I think it's a solid camera for that. Kroons K says, hello, is it worth getting the A6000 with kit lens at $500? I don't know if that's US dollars for video. I'm not going to shoot 4K. I've had the A6000 for, I don't know, maybe a little over a month already, I guess. But I haven't really did a lot of hardcore video recording and shooting with it. I do know that the A6000... Well, okay, take that back. The A6000 can't even shoot 4K, so that doesn't even matter. I think the A6000 with the kit lens, $500 is not a bad price. I would say that. For video, as long as you're not doing a lot of heavy long-form recordings, I think the A6000 will be great for 1080p recording. A lot of people have said that the 1080p is really good on the A6000. George Murray says, chicken wing? Yes, I think it's the chicken wing. Yes, David, yeah, it is the Edelkrone Wing. David, it is the Edelkrone Wing. I am going to be using it more. I just haven't really used it enough. I do want to use it some more. Man, JSan87 says, hi, what lens under $400 do you recommend for product photography? What's wrong with the kit lens, right? That's just me, though. I don't know. Do you mean, like, when you say product photography, do you mean you have, like, a box set up, and then you put, like, I don't know, like, something inside of the box, and then you take a picture of it, then you're going to be shooting at a large aperture, I mean, for that product photography, right? Am I wrong on that? Just have your lighting set up appropriately for the photos, so I don't really know, unless it's, like, it's something else, if you can be more specific, I guess. Terex, sorry, I couldn't, sorry, I couldn't really give you an answer on that. ACS Jaja says, why not the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera for video? Don't you think it's superior for motion picture stuff? I almost got a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera when they had that crazy fire sale deal for that camera. The question is it superior to motion picture? I guess because it has some really good picture profiles on there, but everyone shoots differently. I would say, because it has RAW, right? I'm assuming the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera can shoot RAW. I mean, it could be superior, but I don't shoot in that particular genre, so I wouldn't be the best person to really comment on that. I like this A6000 or like the 6500 because it's good low light performance, and I shoot type of like run and gun / event style, so it works best for me. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, you're gonna have issues with shooting wide angle. You'll have to get some lenses for that, and I don't know if the low light performance is comparable to APS-C. Braxton Akiro Rowe says, A7 II versus the Alpha 6500 for street photography and portrait photography. Which would you choose? Snap, crackle, and pop, man. You know, I don't shoot street photography, but if you're talking about the street photography kind of style where you kind of pre-focus and then you shoot, then I guess the A7 II would be okay. But if you need like that, you know, that autofocus to snap, you know, face track, boom, hits that person really quick, then the 6500 would be the camera I would recommend you go for, because it'll nail the focus faster. And I don't know if you're going to be discreet about your shooting, but I mean, both cameras can shoot like this. So I mean, if you're doing street photography, which I haven't done, but I'm assuming if you're shooting street photography, you can shoot down here and be less discreet about how you're shooting. So in retrospect, I don't know if you're doing like quick shots or you're gonna take your time, frame it, snap, and then move on. But if you need low light, I would always try to go full frame for portrait. So it's kind of a 50-50. That's a tough question, man. But street and portrait, maybe into A7 II, I would lean towards. Genie's Life. I am contemplating getting a Sony a6000. I'm not a photographer, but I want something to shoot family gatherings and events. My question, is this camera too advanced for me? Genie, the answer is no. And the reason why I say that, it's more like, if you're really starting, I would say, this is me personally, a DSLR is the way I would go. That's just me. Only because there's dials and everything like that for everything that you need. And I personally believe, that's just me personally, I think it's just easier to learn on a DSLR. That's, again, if you want to learn the manual controls and all this stuff. However, if you're set on going Sony and you pick up the a6000, it is a really good starting camera. And here's some things. Here's some reasons why. It's small. It's pocketable. You can shoot in this kind of mode here. People like to, for example, let's say you hand this off to a family member and you want them to take a picture. Everybody's used to taking their phone and then just holding the phone up and taking a picture. And they can do it exactly with this camera. They can just hold it up and take a picture, and they see is what they're going to get. And the autofocus is going to be there. So that's the, if I can get back to that question, I think it would be really good for family gathering and events. And there's an auto mode on the camera that you can set it to get started. And I'm looking to put together a little course and some videos on how to use your a6000 in manual control. And it's not really complicated. I think I can do a decent job of explaining it. So if Genie's Life, you're interested in something like that, let me know, and I will try to work on some sort of like short course or short videos to help people get the manual control down, if you'd like me to do that. Waleed Tech says, I love you. I love you too, Waleed. Thanks for watching. Wahid, sorry, I said that wrong. I can't see from here. Did you think the A6700 will be better than the 6500? I think so. I think Sony will do something just slightly better to intrigue us. It could be, I don't know, maybe they'll, well, let me see. So I have the 6500 right here, Wahid. I will tell you right now, I'm very happy with the 6500. Like, there's nothing really about it that really bothers me that I don't like about it, other than the touchscreen, which is really bad in my opinion. Could be done better. But Other than that, I like it for sports. I like it for photos. I like it for video. Way better than the 6000 Alpha 6300. I get 4K. I haven't been able to have it overheat. I'll find out in the summer when it gets really hot. But I haven't been able to force the Alpha 6500 to overheat with the expanded mode turned on. So I'm very happy with my 6500. And I'm really looking to sell one of my Alpha 6300s, and I might pick up another 6500. Juan Jacobo, would you recommend the Sony A7 for a beginner? You know what? I would say get the A6000. If you're new to the Sony system, I think the A6000 is the better camera to get. It's a little smaller, more flexible. You can adapt lenses if that's the case. I just think I have never used the A7, but I think the A6000 would be the better one to go with. It'll be cheaper, and you can grow from there. Diamond cut, any good Cine lenses you would recommend for that cinematic look for the Sony Alpha 6500? You know, as far as cinematic look, I think that's a combination of lighting, lens choice, control of depth of field, and color grading to create that cinematic look. It's not really that you want a specific Cine lens, unless you're shooting where you want to pick up Rokinon lenses that are pure manual focus. So I can't really dictate that to you, Diamond Cut. I don't know where you're at with regards to how you're shooting, but I think you're going to want to take a look at how you're shooting, if you're shooting in S-Log or something like that. So Jsan87, follow-up question. He was asking about lens for product photography. So Jsan87, I would say work on your lighting then for eBay shots. If you're just doing like product photos, just set something up, get your lighting down, figure that stuff out. That's more important in my opinion. Like a kit lens will do the job, honestly, for like eBay photos. Crooks K, thanks for the advice. Was doubting between the A6000 or 6300 for $1,000 just for 4K video. Crooks, did you ask a question? Yeah, here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say right now. I personally do not recommend the Alpha 6300 if you're going to shoot 4K video, if you want 4K. That's just my opinion, okay, based on the experience I've had. I have two Alpha 6300s. The older one I had overheated faster. The newer one I had still overheated. It lasted a little bit longer, but it's just not worth it. But it just depends on what you shoot. It really depends on what you shoot. But I feel more comfortable with the 6500. I mean, I'm always praising the 6500, but it's a little bit more expensive and it's harder to get. I'm just hoping there's a price drop on it. Why not the BMC? Don't you think superior? Survival Hunter. For video and wildlife photography mainly, which camera would you recommend? Survival Hunter, do you care? Is it Sony, right? I just follow up with me. Do you want a Sony camera for that one? I mean, I would go with a DSLR if you're gonna be out in the wild, because there's no Sony camera. I don't know how other sealed the A99 stuff is, and I don't have any A mount stuff. I don't know how weather sealed the stuff is. I was shooting some soccer last night with the 1DC. It was expected to rain. I was gonna bring my I was gonna do a work on a video yesterday where I was gonna compare the 6500 and the Canon 1DC or 1DX. But it was gonna rain. It was expected to rain at the soccer game, so I had to put the Sony gear away, and that's a big, kind of statement on that. But I trust the 1D series cameras to last. I've used it when it was raining for track and field, and I was okay with it. But Sony, for E-mount, I don't think there's anything that's completely weather sealed to an extent that I'd be personally comfortable with shooting with. So I would, for wildlife photography stuff, I would consider a DSLR. But if you're looking at Sony, maybe the 6500, because you get a lot of reach, and maybe the 70 to 300 lens for that one. Okay, Jeannie, if that's something you like, I will definitely look into doing something like that. Wahid Balwani asks, what do you think about the Panasonic GH5? I think it's going to be an awesome camera. I mean, I had the GH4, I just wasn't happy with the low light performance on the GH4. And that was kind of the only thing about it. The Metabones speed booster I had really helped a lot. But I can't really comment on the GH5. I don't have access to it. I don't have those kind of connections. So I think it's gonna be a good camera, and I think it's a good thing. But I don't plan on getting one to keep at all. So I'm really happy with my Sony stuff. Michael Mistro Pierce asks, have you ever used the Sony 28-135 or the 18-110, and your thoughts on it? I have not. I'm assuming you're talking about the larger lenses. I've been very interested in trying those out. They're just kind of out of the budget price range for what I want to do, and I just haven't used them, Michael. I'm sorry. Wahid Bawani, yes, it does shoot 4K at 60 FPS, but you know what? I really think Sony's their next upcoming generation is gonna have 4K at 60 frames per second. They have to. They have to compete at that level. Salomon Figueroa, if I buy a full-frame A7 series lens for 6500, will it have the same quality? If I buy a full-frame, so if you're buying a full-frame lens, will it have the same quality on the 6500? I think this is how it works, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have a full-frame lens, you're going to see some of the optical deficiencies in that lens on aps-c. So if the lens is not optically very good, they'll become more apparent on aps-c. I could be wrong on that one, but I've never noticed it. I don't really pixel peep to that level that I'll notice it, but I don't think you should worry about that. But I don't know. What do you shoot, Solomon? Like, what's worrying you about it? I really got to know that part because I don't know. Survival Hunter. So to follow up on the camera, I don't know. I don't use Nikon. Maybe check the 7D Mark II. That's just my thing. There's a 400 5.6L for Canon that gives you a lot of reach. And there's a lot of cheaper telephoto lenses available through Canon and also Nikon. So I would look at those areas in consideration. There's even the Nikon D500, which I haven't used, but everyone says it's a great camera. Sadiq Jamal says, should I buy an A6000? What do you shoot, Sadiq? It's really hard to answer if I don't know what you're shooting. Diamond Cut says, to rephrase the question a bit, if I'm using the Alpha 6500 for video, and not really for photos, would you recommend going with a 24 or an 85 if recording within the city in nighttime? For me personally, I would go with the 24 initially because man, that's a hard question, Diamond Cuts, to answer. 24 is really close to 35, which I do like to shoot, which I like shooting with video. So I'm going to see the 24 millimeter. Robiabor asks, how do you expose when you shoot with S-Log 3? I don't have the best answer for that right now. Rolleybor. I think there's some good resources and videos online that talk specifically about that. I don't shoot in it enough to give you the best recommendation. I don't want to give you bad information. Solomon Figueroa says he updates. The lens he was looking at was the Sony 50mm f1.4. Solomon, my question for you is: is there the possibility that you'll upgrade eventually in the future? Because if then, there's nothing wrong with getting the full frame glass if you do ever plan to upgrade to full frame. Carl Bren says, how slow would you shoot with a 6500 and 35 1.8 with steady shot on? Shooting people in training classes, no flash allowed. I'm assuming you're speaking about the shutter speed. Man, you really need a shutter speed of I would say at least 500 typically, unless you want to go for those artsy types of photos where you take a photo and then you use a slower shutter speed. You see some motion blur in your photograph. But if that's not what you want, you need at least to get to 500. But you're going to end up having to push your ISO if it's the darker room. I would say, if I'm answering your question correctly, Carl, you'll probably be at, what, 500 shutter speed, f1.8, ISO 5000. I'm just going to throw a guess out there. Sadiq, following up, I shoot portraits and event photos and video. I have used the A7S and the Mark II, but I'm low on cash. Do you really want a Sony camera, Sadiq? Here's the thing, guys. And for those of you that catch the stream later, if you are on a budget, I really don't recommend going Sony. If you are, I think Sony's getting there, and I haven't really talked about it, but the 85 f1.8 that they're releasing for full frame is a great step forward. It's still a pricey lens. You could literally outfit yourself with really good camera gear if you went with Canon and possibly Nikon. You'd have a good body, you'd have good lens choices, and it's really inexpensive in terms of the grand scheme of things. And if you're trying to do event photography or portraits, like, for example, there's the Yongnuo 85 1.8, although it's not great when I tested it out. But you can get the Canon 85 1.8 for a pretty good price used for portraits. You can get the Yongnuo 35 prime lens. Those are all full-frame glass. And you can probably pick yourself up like a 5D Mark II or a Canon 6D for events and portraits. If you want to go the Sony route, it's really convoluted right now, and it's expensive. Like, that's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but if you don't have if you don't see like a pathway of like how you want to upgrade, then Sony's not really friendly. That's just my opinion. And now I was trying to answer your question, Sadiq. Krunske, do you think it's worth investing in Sony lenses? All right, this is a really good question because it's going to table off. Sigma just announced some of their Sigma glass. What was it, the 135, 1.8? Man, that's going to be an amazing lens, I think. You have the 14 f1.8, which is insane. I think they're releasing a 100 to 400 and 24 to 70 f2.8. Optical stabilized, I believe. It is such a great time to be a DSLR shooter. I'm just literally laughing all the time when I see all this great glass out there. I don't know about you, but I'm just, if I saw all this glass maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be like, yes, DSLRs all the way. You have so many lens choices, third-party manufacturers. Sigma's doing a great job. Tamron's out there too, and whoever else, I don't remember. It's kind of tired right now, but do you think it's worth investing in Sony lenses? Here's again my opinion. If I see Sony bust out the Sony A9 and it has the specs that I want, which is basically an A7R2 and an Alpha 63 X6500 combined, and I don't mean that it has to be a 42 megapixel camera, it could be 24. Then I think it'll be worth investing in Sony lenses. But right now for me, if you don't do any sports photography, you do primarily video and some still portraits, I would invest in Sigma glass and adapt it to Sony. Because for me, I still have my Canon gear and I still like shooting with my Canon equipment, and having a lens combination system that I can, like, say for example, right now I have the 35 f1.4 right now recording me on my 5D Mark IV. I like the fact that I could use that 35 1.4, put it on my A7R2, and I can still shoot some still portraits with it. That's amazing. I like that ability. So for me, I see the benefit in that. But whether it's worth investing in Sony lenses right now, it's a tough call. It really is. But if you're going to go all in, then you might as well. Wahid Tech, I have 2 lenses for Sony E-mount. If I buy Panasonic GH5, my issued adapter, so tell me what adapter should I buy. I do not know if there is an actual... Alright, that's the reason why I was saying this. I don't think there's an adapter that you can adapt from Sony E-mount to anything else. Not that I am aware of. Let me know. So if you invest in Sony E-mount, let's say for example, Sony E-mount dies, if that happens. You have all your money invested in this glass, you'll have to sell it off. But if you stick with FE mount or Canon mount lenses, you can adapt to Panasonic. All right, sorry about the stream. You're going to see a blackout for a little bit. I apologize for that. My camera shut off. Hopefully the stream is back up. Let me know if it just completely crashed. Hopefully it didn't. All right. Yeah, so Wahid, Tech, answer for this. That's the problem with Sony E-mount. You can't really take off and run with it on another system. That's the biggest issue. You can adapt to Sony, but you can't really adapt out. Micah Tolentino, Alpha 6500 on order. Will I see a significant change in autofocus performance over my old A6000? What is your experience using full-frame lenses on both bodies? Any performance difference? What do you shoot, Micah? The way I would say is this. I do not really believe you will see a substantial difference in the autofocusing performance. It might be a little bit better. The performance improvement is in the buffer. You can shoot in RAW, you can shoot in JPEG, continuous, and not worry about it. There's probably some slight advancements. I think there's like the eye autofocus is one difference with it. So you can use eye autofocus in continuous autofocus with the 6500. I think it was introduced in the 6300. So that's where you're going to see the biggest benefit is in that raw buffer performance. Carl, hopefully I was able to answer your question with the shutter speed stuff. Wahid, do you have any idea what the next A7S series will be announced? No idea. They're saying there might be some announcements soon, next month, I think. Check Alpha Rumors. Robobor. How does the Sigma 1835 f1.8 perform with the Sony Alpha 6500 in terms of autofocusing? If you're talking about video for the Sigma 18-35, it's okay, but it's noisy. For photos, For photos, anytime you adapt on Sony, I won't trust it with sports. I'll only trust it with portraits. Still life. Bashimi, thank you. I'm just trying out this stream. Solomon Figueroa, I do eventually, but do you think buying an aps-c lens compares to the full frame prime lens? How much of a difference will it be? Also for sports, do you think the 70-200 f4 will do good on the Alpha 6500? The 70-200 f4 is decent. I think in terms of speed, it's comparable to the 70-200 G Master. The only difference that you'll see is the fact that the G Master has one stop of light more. And that is a big difference for sports, unfortunately. So I don't think you have to worry about autofocusing performance, Solomon. But with the G Master, it's just that you just lose a stop of light. For me personally, Solomon, in terms of just like the difference between the aps-c and full frame, it's really subjective. I don't know how much detail you need in the images. It doesn't bother me a whole lot. If it's not too sharp, I'll just add some sharpening in post. All in one, you are right. Sony's lenses are expensive. Yes, it is expensive. K2. The Sony lenses can be expensive, but you can use adapters and get some nice low-cost Canon glass. The bodies are worth every penny. K2, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. The bodies are worth it. The ones that don't overheat as easily. Okay? I agree with that. All in one. I have an A6000. I'm stuck with the kit lens. Hey, man, get the most that you can out of that. Maybe look at the cheap 50 or even consider adapting stuff. I have this cheap Comlight adapter. I don't use it anymore. I got this initially. It's terrible. Manual focusing, it's good. Ton Abraham, I think you missed my question. I apologize for that. What is the best Sony Zeiss Sigma prime lens used with the 6500? I don't know. I don't know. I think if I was going to use a gimbal, I would use the Sony 10-18. That's what I would use, Tom. K2 kit lenses are actually not bad for Sony, but look for... Yeah, I agree. Sadiq Jamal, how do you feel about using old manual lenses? How old? I'm not very well versed in the area with manual lenses. I was using a manual FD lens with my Panasonic GH5 and G7 with the speed booster. Not quite happy with it. That's me though. That's me personally. But if you're talking about the newer ones like the Rokinon stuff, then I haven't really used them a whole lot, so I can't really comment on it. But the old manual lenses, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of iffy about it. Michael Mistro Pierce asked a real interesting question. Yes. How long have you been putting out YouTube videos, and is it worth the work you put into them? Also, what percentage of clients from your business do you receive from YouTube? I have been doing YouTube since 2010 in August. I had a different channel with my brother that I put together. We had about 50,000 subscribers on that YouTube channel, but we stopped producing content for it. Is it worth putting the work that you put into it? The thing I would say when it comes to doing YouTube videos, and I take that back. I mean, I've been doing YouTube videos even before then. When I was in college, I was doing like graphic design tutorials because I was kind of seeing where YouTube was going. I think it's worth putting into them. It's kind of a tough question to answer. I think if you're kind of in this creative art stuff, why not have a YouTube channel? Talk about the stuff that you're doing. Talk about the projects that you're doing. Find a creative way to showcase that, to get yourself out there and build visibility. It's not just YouTube, but also social media. I do try to post. Oh, shameless plug. If you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I don't have service in here, but I am on Instagram at that one camera guy. Please go ahead and check me out there. Can I get an overlay? There we go. I got a little overlay that's going to pop up in a little bit. Clients from your business do you receive from YouTube? If you're talking about like clients, like people that contact me to do like weddings and things like that, I've usually gotten them from my Instagram, or they're just people I know personally that I've met. I don't shoot like weddings. That's not my thing. I'm a teacher, so that's not the thing that I do. It's kind of like on the side. Let's see. Moving on. Micah Tolentino updates. He says he shoots portraits and events. What was the question? I got to go back and check. Portraits and events. Portraits and events. Sorry, it's the end of the day. After work, my brain usually shuts off. And it's usually at this time I'll go shoot a sporting event or something like that and just kind of relax a little bit because my brain is just so tired right now. I'm just trying to figure out this question, Micah, that you asked. Or you're just unless you're just letting me know what you shoot. Survival Hunter, when do you think the next A7R II will come out? I think next year, 2018. Towards the end of 2018. Socrates Vela, would you say your Sony gear reviews increase your viewership and subscribers? That's another interesting question. Would you say your Sony gear reviews increase your viewership? Here's the thing. I like Canon, right? I like the Canon gear. I like Sony, though. I like the technology that's in Sony. That's why I picked it up. And I kind of doubled down on it. And this whole YouTube channel, the stuff that I've been producing lately, is really just a DSLR shooter, a Canon shooter, transitioning to Sony. I'm trying to show you my transition to Sony E-mount from the perspective of a DSLR shooter. And the point that was being made from Socrates about the viewership and the subscribers, do you think it's helped? It has a lot more to do with that. As far as the content that you're producing, the quality of the content, is there benefit for the viewers? And there's just so much more that goes into that. But I would say, yeah, it does help because everyone's really interested in Sony equipment. Even my students they don't really talk. It's funny because even high school students talk about Sony equipment now. Because I ask them, I will ask high school students, what cameras have you heard about? And some of them are like, Sony. It's not necessarily like Canon DSLRs anymore, or even Nikon. That's not even the cool thing. Now it's like Sony is what they're talking about. All right, SBSPDTL. I remember that username. A7R2 picture profile, so many to choose. Are you a Cine 4 kind of guy, or are you hardcore S-Log 2? Have not tried the EOS HD picture profiles. Man, I am not even an S-Log 2, even a Cine 4 kind of guy. I think if I was going to choose between Cine 4 and S-Log 2, I would choose Cine 4. Multigame says hi. Hi. Solomon Figueroa, thanks bro, keep uploading videos. I will try to do that. I'm just doing his live streams, honestly, just to kind of fill the gaps because you know what I've been doing right now? I want to make the videos, like for example, I had the 55 to 210. I was doing a review on that cheap 55 to 210 lens. But lately, I've just been shooting. So I just go out, I shoot with the gear. Because I need to build experience with the equipment to be able to give you good feedback. If I don't use the equipment, if I'm in that situation where I'll just use it for like one event, like, okay, I'm going to use the camera for one day. Hey guys, this is a great camera. That's a very disingenuous review. So I just keep shooting and shooting and shooting with the gear. So today, for example, I'd be out shooting something, but there's no events. I think tomorrow there's a lot of things going on. There's track and field, there's baseball. So I got to decide on what I'm going to shoot tomorrow, if I am going to shoot. I think Friday or Saturday, I might do some headshots, I think. So for me, it's all about use the gear, and then I can come back and do these Q&As to answer them as best as I can for you. Because again, I do not want to give disingenuous information. I want to give you my opinion based on the experience I've had with the equipment. So that's my answer for that. Micah Tolentino, calm light blows did not work on any of my Canon lenses. Yeah, I should have returned it when I had the chance. Runner7395 asks, anyone ever try the Canon 11-24? That is a one sweet looking lens. I wish I've tried it. I have not tried it. K2 says, not sure if you have ever tried or seen the Flash Q wireless flash triggers. Been using them for 8 months now. Very nice with these smaller Sony bodies and cheap. I have not used them. Maybe I should take a look at them. Finally, would you do videos helping people with photography, like doing constructive critiques and or advice? Crunks, so if you're saying things like you want for me to give them feedback with their photos or maybe their video, I can. I personally do not put myself on a pedestal, like, at all. Like saying, oh, this is a good photo. Like, I can say, that's a good structured photo. I like the content. You know, I can give you feedback. But I'm not at those high levels kind of things, man. I'm kind of a more practical person with that regard. So I can just give you some feedback and some guidance. But that's, whoa, where is this? Where is this going? Is it, help this out here. By the way, that's the face tracking on the 5D Mark IV. It's going out of whack. There are some things that I want to do. So by the way, to the stream that I'm doing right now, because I hated the potato quality I had from my webcam the other day, I went and picked up this Elgato capture card. And I was going to pick up something from Blackmagic, but I heard this worked. I might pick up a second one. And then what I can do is I can overlay on the screen, I can overlay the camera information here. So if you ever want to do a tutorial, let's say you wanted to do a live tutorial on how to set up your A6000 or Alpha 6300, we could do it live. So if that is something you are interested in seeing, we can do that. I'd like to try and set up maybe some more kind of live demo type stuff. It's just really hard, but I'd love to be able to do those kind of things in the future. Ton Abraham says, Zeiss 24mm f1.8 or the Sony 35 f1.8? Which would you think would work great on a gimbal? Does the Zeiss 24 have stabilization? Man, I would go with the wider lens with the Zeiss 24. I don't have that lens, and I haven't really used it for gimbals, but I would go with the wider one. That's just my opinion. Michael Mistro Pierce asks, do you pay for gear and return it after your reviews or get loaners from stores? All right, good question, Michael. Good question. I pay for almost everything, like 99% of everything. But I have to sell some things in order to acquire it. I have been getting contacted by smaller companies to look at their products. For example, there was a company that sent me some stuff that they wanted me to look at. I guess I'm plugging them in a way. I just don't have their stuff with me. But, man, I don't remember the company's name. But it helps with, like, weather sealing. They put, like, a band on the device and kind of covers the buttons and things like that. I can't recall the actual company name. I'm just having a brain fart. But as you build your channel, as you build your presence, I get contacted via Facebook. Like, for example, Small Rig contacted me because they saw some of my videos. But here's the weird thing, man. When it comes to reviews, I really don't feel like I even want products too much from the companies, because it kind of affects the way I end up reviewing the product in the first place. Like, I wouldn't mind if someone sent me a loaner for an A99 Mark II, for example, right? So we're talking hypothetically here, because I really want to test the A99 Mark II and give you guys feedback, right? because I can't hustle a third camera system. If a company like B&H Photo, B&H, if you're watching this, and you want to help me out and send me some loaner equipment, I'd appreciate it. I have no partnership with them, by the way. But if a company would send it to me, I'd absolutely go ahead and try it out, as long as I can keep my opinion about what I'm doing, right? And that's what's really important to me, and that's what's important to me and to my viewers, to you guys, is that I give you the best recommendation for the equipment and the gear. Okay, so that was kind of a long statement there, Michael. So yes, I do pay for 99% of the stuff that I get. If I ever start getting stuff from people, I will let you know for sure if that's happening. LCA Studios says, check out LCA Studios today. By the way, your channel was my guide for switching to Sony. Thank you, LCA. I appreciate that. Means a lot. Michael Mistro Pierce, I have the 11-24 f4 from Canon. It's an excellent lens, but it costs, yep, very expensive lens. I would absolutely, very nice lens. All-in-one, any lens suggestion for astrophotography for E-mount? Man, I don't do any astrophotography. I really should try it out, but I just am so busy every day. So busy every day. So I don't know if anyone in the comments can help all-in-one out. What is a good astrophotography E-mount lens? Roby Bohr, I do music videos and wedding films. I'm currently stuck with the 6500 kit lens and still saving up for an all-around lens. I don't know which one to buy first, the 18-35 f1.8 or the Sony 18-105 f4. If you manually focus, get the Sigma 18-35. You're going to love the large aperture and the control over depth of field. Here's the problem. The 18-105 is kind of a Swiss Army knife. It's great for events. It has a lot of reach. It can get you in tight places. The 18-35, in my opinion, is more on the creative side. So if you're really into the more creative side of things, the 18-35 is the one I would go with. If you just need something more purely for events, man, that's tough too, man. I could shoot an event with an 18-35, man. If I had to choose, 18-35. That's what I would choose. Really, Bohr. Hey, Jason Vong. What is good? He has made it. Me and Jason Vong need to do some collaboration. Jason, I thought, man, maybe we need to try and do that. Thought we were going to do that whole news thing where we're talking to each other, like the Google Hangouts deal. Maybe we can do that. Talk about some news and some lenses. And do that little shady stuff where you see the video half on my channel and half on Jason Vong's channel. That'd be really cool. I still wish I got to go to WPPI, but I was just so busy. Yeah, check out Jason Vong, man. He should have as much subscribers as I do. Check Jason Vong out if you haven't seen Jason Vong. Check out his YouTube channel at Jason Vong. I don't know what that is. Harley Pan, why is there not a prime ultra wide with AF for Sony E-mount? Why is there not a prime ultra wide with autofocus for Sony E-mount for videographers? It's such a pain. If Rokinon had made those awesome lenses autofocus, it'd be so perfect. Rokinon 12 2.0 is a good astrophotographer. Thank you for helping them out, Harley. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, Harley. You know, Harley, I have a question for you. It seems like you do manual focus. Is there a scenario where you want the continuous autofocus for wide? Are you going to set the camera at a certain spot and you just need it to continuously autofocus? What's the situation? Because I'm all into manually focusing when I can. And then just continuous autofocus in certain situations. But that's how I shoot, though. I'm not, that's how I would do it. All in one. Thanks, Harley. Jason Vong says, let's do it, man. Podcast, man. We got to get some sponsors. Where's Squarespace at? Squarespace. Manny, how'd you get Squarespace to sponsor you? How do you do that? Where's Manny Ortiz? Manny, jump onto this live chat. He's poked in once in a while. Arcady Fabian, I live in the Caribbean. It is hot there, and should I purchase the 6? Arcady, get the Alpha 6500. If you're living in a very hot place, the 6300 is gonna overheat, hands down, hands down, hands down. It's gonna overheat. So Arcady, get the 6500. It may still overheat. It may still overheat. Ben 3 says the Zeiss Bodice 18mm is a great astrophotography lens. Lonely Spec on YouTube, I'm guessing. Check that guy out. Says he does reviews on it. Joseph Tabalon, what's your all-time favorite portrait lens for the Alpha 6500? I don't like saying this, but I would shoot portraits with my A7R2. So I really don't have a specific portrait lens with the 6500 because I'm very spoiled that I have a lot of full-frame cameras to choose from. So if I was using the 6500, I'd probably say the Zeiss 55, but I would use the Bodice 85 because I have the Bodice 85. All right, Rollerboard, I'll see you later, man. Thanks for joining the stream. I appreciate your time here. Jumping back to Harley. Shoots on a gimbal. So, okay, thank you, Harley, for clarifying that. He was talking about he uses a gimbal. He has the camera, and I was saying, why not just manually focus the lens, right? But if you're using a gimbal, you absolutely are going to need some continuous autofocus. That will really help out. Hey, Arcady, it's great to hear that you've been a subscriber for a long time. Jason Vong says, the Alpha 6500 overheated during a wedding this last week, but you didn't have the auto temp thing turned on. Damn. Was it like critical, Jason? Are you allowed to say that? Maybe we shouldn't say it here. You'll be incriminating yourself. So hopefully it wasn't anything critical during the wedding. SPDTTDL. Man, that is a hard username. Jason says, Jason, I tested live streaming today. Works perfect on the Samsung S6 Edge. Plus, try and grab a cheap one on eBay if you don't want to wait for your 10K. Jason, what are you doing? I know you did a live stream the other day. What were you going to do with the live stream stuff? Because last time I used my LG G4, which is old now. I used the LG G4 to stream at that basketball game, and it overheated, which was really funny. Not like the 6300, right? It overheated, so. Michael Mistro Pierce says, why don't you do a YouTube photo shoot where you get to meet and exchange ideas in future interests for shoots? I think you're in the LA area and a ton of people would show up. I'm not in the LA area. I'm in the Central Valley. Think like Bakersfield, California. The Central Valley. Oh, Jason. Dang. Jason said he wiped the camera settings and he forgot to change it back. That is a good lesson. Hopefully nobody makes that same mistake. I wanted to do a live stream for CP Plus. Is that still going on, Jason? I'm losing my mind. What's going on with CP Plus? Let me do some searching right now. Is that coming up? It's blocked on the website here. What the heck? Okay. So it's going on soon. Oh, snap. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's what you meant by 10K. Yes. See, the reason why I started doing that live stream on my phone was that I did recently hit 10,000. Thank you to all my viewers for helping me reach that. And Jason Vong, you soon will also reach 10,000. Hopefully it could happen by tomorrow. Everybody help Jason Vong out. Get him to 10,000 subscribers by tomorrow so he can start live streaming CP Plus with his phone. Help him out. What do you recommend for extra batteries? Wasabi. Wasabi, if you're talking about extra batteries. T-Style 9, is Sony the 1650 pretty good for light? Are you talking about the Sony 16-50 A mount? There's no E mount of that, right? Jason Vong, yeah, it's happening today. I'm going tomorrow. Where is CP Plus? Where's CP Plus at? Japan. Is that Japan? Mark says, do you live in the Philippines? No, Mark, I don't live in the Philippines. I'm in California. Lucky Jason gonna play with the Sigma lenses. I'm jealous. I'm very jealous that you're gonna get to play with the Sigma lenses. Man, I've gotten to the end of my questions. How is that possible? I think I started this stream at around like 3:40. It's been about an hour already. Jason going to Japan. Nice. Okay, I see that. CP Plus. Oh, snap. T-Style 9. I totally forgot it was the E mount. Okay. I thought it was an A mount. If you have lighting, T-Style, the 1650 is fine. I mean, if you have decent lighting. But it's only when you go into darker areas that it's just going to be a problem. That's just my opinion. Yay, all in one. We got one subscriber to Jason's channel. You're going to get him to 10,000 subs someday so he can live stream and show you all the cool stuff in Japan, which I'm very jealous of. Jason. Michael Mistro Pierce, what's the news on the 1635 f2.8? Do you know? I have no idea, honestly. Jason Vong, though, is going to see Sony in Japan, and he's going to go up to their headquarters, and he's going to tell them to find that answer for you, Michael. So, Jason, we're waiting on Jason for that. Jason's going to help us out with that question there, because I really don't know, Michael. I really don't know. So those of you that are on the stream, I have no idea who's on the stream right now. Like, if there's 2 people watching it, I don't know. Well, let me see if it tells me here. Live streaming. Man, I am so new to this live streaming business deal here, but it's fun. It's fun stuff. Events. Live now. Live control room. Jason Bong says, I need to brush up on my Japanese. You know, when I learned Japanese, now we're getting sidetracked here. I was actually using this Pimsleur, like, listening audio thing for Japanese. And I was using it in college. Like, how long ago was I in college? That was a long time ago. Maybe, like, 9 years ago. Anyway, I learned, sumimasen. It means, excuse me. And then, eigo ga wakarimasu ka? Ie, watashi wa nihongo ga wakarimasen. So yeah, I just learned my Japanese through listening through that Pimsleur. T-Style 9 says, Ibis, are you talking about the camera's in-body image stabilization? Or do you need to enable it? Ibis is usually on automatically. I think that's what you mean. You know, it's interesting. Even though with the live stream, I still get a lot of people watching it later, like after the fact. So I really do like that. I thought it would be a lot less, but people like watching it. Jason Vong, your Japanese is pro level. That's all I know how to say in Japanese. What is it? How would you say? Shinjuku Dori wa doko desu ka? If you want to know where Shinjuku Road is. I should try to brush up on some Japanese. Go to Japan. Maybe me and Jason Vong will host a workshop in Japan someday. And then learn some Korean and do some stuff. I don't know. The sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. I would like to like meet people around the world and talk with them. SPDTDL, just keep doing your thing, man. That's awesome. Michael Mistro Pierce. I saw that message before I got retracted. Fly to Japan, man. Cover CP Plus with me. Maybe not this year, man. Maybe next year. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe you'll have the that 10,000 subs for that YouTube live by then. Oh man. Let's see here. I'm using, by the way, for those of you that are on the stream that want to stream in the future, I'm using OBS, which is that broadcast. It's free. And I'm able to get all this stuff set up. It's really nice. I'm very, very happy that I have this set up here. And Angadavex 2000 Filmer says, Hey bro! How do you edit 4K footage? I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I have an intricate storage system, I guess. I have 4 1 terabyte SSDs set in RAID 0, which is not a good idea, but I just do it anyway. And then I have it backed up, and I have an NVMe SSD in my PC. And then I store the original files on my Drobo, and then I take those files and then I put them onto my SSD to work off of, and then on my SSD, because my biggest bottleneck is the transfer speeds of the data. So that's kind of how I approach working with the 4K files. Right now, I recently picked up a Dell Alienware 13R3. I guess we can talk about laptops since we're on this. I was really contemplating on getting the new MacBook Pro Retina with the touch bar, but then I was like, I use Windows a lot in my work environment, and so I just said I was going to stick with Windows. So I picked up the Alienware. I can actually move the camera around. So let's see here. I picked this up. Whoa, this little guy here, and I really like it. Testing it out. I'm trying to test it for any bugs or issues. Oh, this Gorilla Pod on there. All right. I'm testing that out, and it's got a GTX 1060 under the hood. I got it refurbished. I got a 1 terabyte SSD. It has space for another mSATA in here. It was maxed out to 32 gigs of RAM. It has a really nice 1440p OLED display. The only thing that really sucks about it, excuse me, is that the battery life is terrible on it. So, but I typically find myself, I move from home into work, so it's not like I'm not at a power source all the time. But if I needed something mobile, it's a problem for me. But I really love the power that's in this Alienware, and the fact that it has 2 mSATA slots. And the screen looks really nice. I love the OLED display on this thing, and the programs work really well. And I'm happy with the performance right now. And that's what I'm using to encode this whole thing right now. Jason Vong. I did not hook... Okay, so Jason Vong, since he just asked, I picked up this Elgato to connect because I'm actually using a Canon camera. I'm actually using the 5D Mark IV to do this, and I have the Sigma 35 f1.4 on the camera. But I am going to try a Sony camera later. SPDTTL. Yes, OBS is freaking awesome, and it's free. It is free. I wish I had known about it. I remember I think I purchased a license for Camtasia. I don't know if those of you that are out there are familiar with Camtasia. I picked up a license for it. And then I was like, what the heck? OBS does, like, I just need a screen recording capture program for Windows, and freaking OBS is awesome. So check it out. Check OBS out if you do not have it, if you are on the Windows system, or if you want to do any live streaming stuff. Arcady Fabian asks, how much battery should I purchase with the 6500? I'm using it for weddings. It's my B camera with the camera as the FS100. Get like 6 batteries. 6 of them. And then have your, have the little charging dock. And have some external battery packs ready. Survive the outdoors, STOY. What was the question for? Let me know. Becel, if you're asking between the A7 Mark II or the 6500, man, I know that's a tough one. If you do portraits, then you want the full frame. I would get the 6500, Becel, based on what you just told me. Oh, SPDTDL. SPD is my initials. TDL is my new baby son's initials. Congratulations. I don't know how old your son is. Sounded better than Steven's sons. Okay, it's hard to say if people ignore my questions or always remember me. Weren't you, SPDTDL, weren't you on Max's Europe stream? Weren't you on that stream? Arcady Fabian, you drop in those keys like DJ Khaled. I don't quite understand, but that's funny. Man, I think I'm going to be on the stream for maybe a little bit longer, maybe 10 more minutes. So, man, I don't even... Oh, let me get some water. Shoot. My last stream that I did... I didn't have any water on me, man. My throat was so parched. It was so bad. SPDTDL. Dude, you are everywhere, man. That's why I remember you. That's the crazy thing. Crazy, crazy, man. I just spilled some water on my desk. This is great. All right, Jason. I'll catch you later, man. Have fun at CP Plus. Hopefully we can do the whole new little collab of videos later on in the future. That'll be pretty awesome, man. Good luck out there. Have a safe trip, by the way. Oh, wow. 2 a.m. in Madrid. Oh, man. All the way out here. Man, I think everyone's out of questions for today. John Benz, that is a tough question. I do not know the answer to that one. Do all lens manufacturers use an interferometer to check each lens assembly? I have no idea. That is an interesting question. Yeah, so the last thing I do want to mention, wait, does your 18-105 lens make a sound when powering on, like a whirring sound? I don't have my 18-105 on me, so I can't answer that, but I think it might. But is yours loud? Basel asks, I'm not sure if you have talked about it, but how did you start shooting for the local sports teams? I just shoot for my high school. The high school I work at. And then there's a photographer that goes by Vincent Martinez Photography. He has a YouTube channel. And I work with him. He does some small volume Little League stuff. And I do help him out with some of that photography. So I kind of partner up and work with him with that kind of thing. He would probably be the better person to kind of talk about that kind of information. T-Style 9, gotta take the 6500 to shoot inside a cathedral later. What's a safe picture profile to use? T-Style 9, I can't really recommend it. I mean, if you haven't really been using S-Log, then I wouldn't recommend it because then you don't know what's gonna happen. I haven't used it enough. People like to say Cine 4. I just stick with the standard stuff, man, but that's not the answer you want to have from me. Hopefully you can figure it out, T-Style. I'm so sorry. I'll keep working on it, man. I'll try to learn some more about those picture profiles when I get a chance to. John Ben says, my 18105 does not make any noise. Folks, I'm going to have to call it a day with the stream. I got to go. It's almost 5 o'clock here where I'm at. Those of you that made it this far, thank you so much for being on the stream. And again, thank you to everyone out there that is watching this, even after the stream is over. I really do appreciate all of you guys out there. Will start having that content kind of roll in later, but I'm just doing these live streams, just trying to learn a little bit more. And hopefully you're enjoying some of them. I'll see you guys later. And with that said, I'm your host, That One Gamer Guy, and I'll catch you on the next live stream. Bye. Okay, how do I end this? How do I end this stream? This is going to be really awkward. That is watching this even after the stream is live over. Control room. I really do appreciate all of you guys out there. Will stop streaming.